Don't you dare, ref. That she got the ball. Good morning, Tottenham fans around the world. It is the day we love the most. It is North London Derby Day, where bragging rights and the pride of North London is at stake. We head to the Emirates, into the Lions' Den, looking to upset the apple cart. Both teams come into this game in contrast in recent form. Tottenham winning their last 2 cup games, Arsenal losing their last 2 cup games. Both managers also come into this game under intense scrutiny from their respective fan base. Postecoglou has been under scrutiny quite some time at Tottenham Hotspur, but the Tamworth performance hasn't done much to alleviate that. While Mikel Arteta, the question remains, can he deliver success to Arsenal? And with the North London Derby at this stage of the season, I do believe it can make or break both teams' season. In terms of Tottenham, we're looking to resurrect our season just like Jesus Christ resurrected himself. If we can go on, beat Arsenal, win our next couple of league games, win the cup games for the rest of this month, it certainly resurrects our season heading into the coming months. And if we can beat Arsenal, hopefully puts the final nail in Arteta's coffin and derails their pursuit of the Premier League title. Whereas if Arsenal win it, it might just inspire them to maintain that title challenge. So hopefully we come out the right side of the score sheet. Now, in terms of team news, it's 2 back, 1 out. Richarlison returning to the matchday squad and Ben Davies also returning to training, with Timo Werner out now long term with a hamstring injury. So, let's waste no time. Let's get into it. The lineup that I think Postecoglou will pick to take home all 3 points, hopefully, away at the Emirates. In goal, it will be Anthony Kinsky, who has made an impressive start to his career at Tottenham, keeping 2 clean sheets in 2 appearances. And what a baptism of fire it is, making his debut in the Carabao Cup for Tottenham in the semi-final, also making his FA Cup debut against Tamworth at the weekend, and set to make his Premier League debut in Tottenham's biggest game of the season in the North London Derby. Now, it's fair to say Kinsky's all-round game has been impressive, but I do think there's one area that can catapult him to be Tottenham's undisputed number 1, and that simply is around set pieces. If you were to take yourself back to the 1-0 defeat at home in the North London Derby earlier on in the season, the deciding factor was a set piece. Yes, Romero lost his man, but ultimately the set piece was delivered in on top of the 6-yard box, which has always been notoriously been an area that you expect your keeper to command, and Vicario has failed to do that, and it's done that time and time again, which has put him under the media spotlight and the pundit spotlight in terms of criticism in that aspect of his game. Kinsky against Tamworth the other day had a nice little precursor. Tom Tonk's long throw-ins. He came out and caught 5 of them nice and clean and alleviated a lot of the pressure that them throw-ins do put on teams. And if he can do the same here from Arsenal set pieces, from Arsenal's corner, come out, claim them and alleviate a lot of the pressure, then all of a sudden you start asking different questions of Arsenal. You upset them, and ultimately I think it will go a long way to helping Tottenham achieve a result here at the Emirates. At left back, and another chance to continue his impressive form of late, is Jed Spence, and he will be tasked with keeping, I predict, Raheem Sterling quiet, who does like a game against Tottenham Hotspur. And Jed Spence is more than capable. He kept Mo Salah very quiet in that Liverpool semi-final. He was absolutely brilliant on the day, and it's the quietest I've seen Mo Salah in quite some time. It led to Arne Slot knocking on Tottenham's dressing room, asking can they check the pockets and have Mo Salah returned before it goes into the washing machine. There's been wanted posters of Jed Spence all around Liverpool and missing posters of Mo Salah all around London, and hopefully he could put in a similar level of performance here. His job has been made easier with Bukayo Saka being out. He has terrorised Tottenham in years gone by, so hopefully now that it's Sterling, Spence can do the same and pocket him as well. Thomas Tuchel was at that Newcastle game, and I just wonder, will he keep an eye on Jed Spence and include him in the next England squad? When you look at fullbacks, a guy able to cover both sides, I don't see why he wouldn't be selected. I think he's one of the best options that England have right now. And he's earned all of the nicknames that he's getting. The best one I've seen so far is Jedley King. Please give me yours for him in the comments below. And I think if he can have a huge North London derby, I think the media will blow him up and it will put him on the map of world football, and all of a sudden he'll gather this attention that he's never ever had before. At right back, I do think Pedro Porro is set to continue here just due to injuries, not because of performance related. Against Tamworth, he had the game to forget at the Lamb Ground, being dribbled by twice by a guy that works in Zara as part-time, and Also giving away possession 45 teams, and any goal power stat that he's giving away the ball more than anybody else across the top leagues in European football, and it's nowhere near good enough from Porro. What we need to try and do is recapture that performance against Liverpool, where credit to him, he kept Cody Gakpo very, very quiet, and then also Luis Diaz when he came on. He had a really good game that night, and also in possession, he was brilliant. It was him that played that long ball for Dom Solanke's offside goal, and it was him that played that long ball that led to Bergvall's winner at the end of the day. We need to recapture that. He's going to be up against Martinelli. He's a little tricky customer. He's quick. Hopefully Pedro Porro can pocket him, because if he can, it will go a long way to helping us secure a point, because I do think if Arsenal are intelligent, they will target Pedro Porro with balls into the box towards the back post, but also in possession with how much he gives it away. I'd expect him to be a trigger press alongside Radu Dragusin here at centre-back. Don't get me wrong, against Liverpool I thought he was fantastic, putting his body on the line, defensively really good. It's what we needed from him, but in possession he was loose and erratic, and I do think Arteta, he will have done his homework, and I do think he will look to press the right-hand side of this defence. So for me, with Radu Dragusin, I don't want to see him get caught on the ball or rush any of his passes. If needs be, give it back to Kinsky, let him bail you out of pressure. What we do need is that performance that he did have against Liverpool. He is going to be up against the likes of Havertz, who will make runs off and runs in behind. Although Havertz is very, very wasteful, he does make clever runs and does get into positions to generate himself a lot of opportunities. So Radu Dragusin will have to keep an eye on that. And to complete the back four, it will be Archie Gray, who's been phenomenal. Now, this will be his biggest test of the season away at the Emirates in the Toilet Bowl. It is going to be a very hostile atmosphere, and if I'm Arsenal players, I will look to try and get at him, wind him up, maybe pump the ball on him earlier on to see how he handles the atmosphere. We have been rattled by that before out at Galatasaray. It's going to be a huge test for Archie Gray, but credit to the kid, he has stepped up and passed every single test with A+ so far, and I back the kid to have a really strong game here yet again. Moving into midfield, and I do believe it will be the double pivot of Papa Matar and Yves Bissouma. Now, with Yves Bissouma, in possession, still riles me up a hell of a lot. I thought against Tamworth, he slowed the game down way too much. Look at the size of the pitch, use your brain, start spreading that ball around, let your fitness take over, make them run around. Once you spread the ball as well, you also create gaps and openings, and he really annoyed me against Tamworth. However, defensively, in his defensive side of the game, he has been absolutely brilliant in weeks gone by. Against Liverpool, he was phenomenal, and when you look at his two best games this season, probably that Liverpool game and the Man City game away at the Empty-Hat earlier on in the season, he picked up 2 early yellow cards, and I almost feel like the early yellow card actually puts Bissouma on notice. I feel like when games are sort of getting easy, I almost feel like Bissouma gets distracted by birds flying by and stuff like that. But when he's got a yellow card, he's all of a sudden tuned in, and look at the player he can be. And we just need to see a lot more of that from Bissouma, and hopefully he can drag himself out of that. However, this is going to be very important, this game, that he gets in there, disrupts play, upsets Arsenal's rhythm, like he done to Liverpool the other night. He got stuck in, and he did not like it. Also, with Papa Matar, don't get me wrong, very poor against Tamworth, but in general this season, he's been our best midfielder. I would argue our most consistent midfielder. And away from home, you simply won't get away without playing Papa Matar. His industrious nature, ability to turn over the ball, also help get up behind the forward line, put that pressure on, turn the ball higher up the pitch, is absolutely invaluable. And for me, he embodies exactly what you need in the centre midfield. The centre midfield when I was growing up was always called the engine room. It's called the engine room for a reason, because usually they're fit players, they can get up and down, and they're up for the fight, they're willing to get around battle, and that's what you need. You can't afford to carry passengers in the midfield. So, and these two guys definitely embody that. In possession, sometimes a bit of a worry, but I just wonder, will Postecoglou employ what he did against Liverpool and ask them to go a bit longer rather than playing out from the back? Because I think behind Southampton and Aston Villa, we have made the most mistakes leading to goals trying to play out from the back. So I just wonder, will Postecoglou look to navigate that, knowing that these two can be hit and missed. Lastly, I want to give credit to Bissouma against Liverpool. They possessed a lot of danger out outside the box, you know, in terms of people waiting for shots, putting these dangerous balls in. And one thing Basuma done very well was get out there, close it down very early. It's going to be the same with Arsenal. Although they're not great going forward and they are overly reliant on Bukayo Saka, with Odegaard, Rice, they still possess players of ability to be able to find these shots out of nowhere, these spectacular efforts. So they do have to be switched on and get out and close that down nice and early to neutralise Arsenal's attack. And speaking of the engine room and not being able to carry players, well, it begs the question, what does Postecoglou do here then in terms of the guy in the number 10 role? Does he go with someone like James Maddison, who, quite frankly, I don't think he's having or he trusts? And the reality is, when you pick him, you don't know what you're going to get. It's a lottery at the end of the day. He can either be superb or he can be way off it, and you can't afford to carry passengers. Or do you go with someone like Lucas Bergvall, who's been sensational of late? Brilliant against Newcastle, absolutely brilliant man the match display against Liverpool, great off the bench against Tamworth the other night. Well, I think he's got no option but to go with Lucas Bergvall. I think he's earned it, and for me, the kid's work rate is incredible, and if he can bring that along with some creativity, which I do think he has in his locker, all of a sudden it gives Maddison an even steeper hill to climb. Lucas Bergvall against Liverpool was absolutely sensational. He's seen that forward line was absolutely out on their feet, so what did he do? He said, rather than let Liverpool come at us and make it easy for them, I'll go and do their pressing work. He pressed that back line and pressed Alisson to great effect, giving Pedro Porro 2 opportunities to try and get the first opening goal for Tottenham on the day and really give us an extra boost heading to Anfield. He didn't take that. However, he never gave up, and he followed up Dom Solanke's incredible run in behind and that pass with a goal, and ultimately got his reward, giving us the victory on the night. And he goes down in Spurs folklore now. When you score big goals like that in cup runs, you're never forgotten. So fair play to the kid. And for me, I think he's earned it. Now, don't get me wrong. I maintain with Bergvall, I do think there's that mistake in him. He's still only 18 years of age. And it is a huge gamble, especially going into this environment, especially with the combative nature of Arsenal's midfield. They're wily in there. They're dogged. They're very strong in there. However, I do think Bergvall will stand up to the test. So for me, I think he's earned that. I think it sends out the right message moving forward if you select Bergvall. And lastly, Postecoglou's midfield is all about hard work. It's all about unselfishness, willing to muck in, do the dogged work. And that's why I think Maddison finds himself out of the team and why Bergvall suddenly finds himself in the team. And moving into the forward line, and we will start with right wing. And I think Kulusevski will come in for Brennan Johnson here. Brennan Johnson was another one who had a game to forget at the Lamb Ground at the weekend. He missed one big chance, provided just 2 accurate crosses from 7 attempts, which is nowhere near good enough, and succeeded taking on his man just once out of 3 dribble attempts going at him. Nowhere near good enough for a Premier League winger up against a part-time plumber. Nowhere near good enough. And this has been the biggest question of Brennan Johnson. Outside of scoring goals, what do you offer? What do you provide? And if you can't do it against Tamworth, for me, you just definitely don't possess that ability in general. And I think it's put him under massive pressure now to improve his all-round game. But with Dejan Kulusevski, he's been absolutely brilliant, being one of Tottenham's best players in terms of output, not only in terms of work rate, carrying the ball and embodying what Postecoglou expects of these players, but also in terms of goals and assists this season. And you look at, for instance, James Maddison came back, slow to get back into pre-season, etc., after being dropped from England. Kulusevski came back, was on it straight away, and look at the contrasting seasons they've had. So I do think there is something. I do think for me that simply comes down to motivation and what you want from your career. But the main reason why I'm actually playing Kulusevski at right wing is because Brennan Johnson is not up for the fight. That's one of the big questions I have around him. I think he's too timid. Yes, he's a shithouse, but being a fighter is completely different to being a shithouse, and he doesn't have it in him. Kulu is a fighter. Now, like I said, I do expect Arteta to use the home crowd, use the atmosphere and the early momentum and get Arsenal to come and press us, come and press that right-hand side of the fence. For me, there's no point of keep trying to play through that if Arsenal are getting joy turning over the ball. You are going to have a solution, a plan B if you like. And for me, that's Kinsky. Use that ball, hit Kulusevski out wide. The reason why I say not Dom Solanke is because Dom Solanke is up against Gabriel and Saliba, who are 2 animals in the air. I think it's going to be hard to ping it into him and get him to it and expect him to hold off both defenders and hold it up. But for me, if you can get Kulu out on that fullback, isolate him, get him to hold it up, for me, that's our out ball. And I just wonder, will Postecoglou instruct the team to go a bit longer like he did against Liverpool, especially for the first 15-20 minutes, trying to catch Arsenal out? And if we can bypass that press, we're straight in on that back line. And hopefully we can show a bit more devastating quality than what we have done in weeks gone by. But if anyone's going to produce it, it will be Dejan Kulusevski. At left wing, it will be the return of Son. He was dropped against Tamworth, but when he came on, he looked lively enough, to be fair to him. He ended up coming away from the game with an assist as well. But he has been poor for large parts of this season. Now, one thing with Son, he has affected at least one North London derby every single season since he's been here. If he fails to affect this North London derby like he did the one at home, I do question, is he on the demise? For me, all will be forgiven if he can step up in this North London derby. These North London derbies can be season changers. You know, just like it could be for Tottenham. Give us the confidence, the momentum we need to really kick on. It could be the same for Son. Many fans are sitting there praying and hoping it comes good. But the longer bite-sized sample you get, the more you do lean to, is he over the hill? And I wonder if Tottenham also lean to that, because they did only trigger the contract extension rather than offer him a 2-3 year contract as well. So I do wonder, is there recognition inside Tottenham that maybe this guy is coming to the end? And I would argue that Tottenham have accelerated the decline if that is the case, because we haven't brought in anybody to be able to rest him over the course of this season, and we've put him out there through fatigue, injury, etc. However, he is the captain, and we really need him to step up here, and hopefully we can see a big performance. And then that leads me on to the guy up front. Of course, Richarlison is returning, but with him not playing football for quite some time, how sharp is he going to be? Maybe Richarlison coming on around 70-75 minutes to relieve Solanke and get Richarlison to go pressing that ball. With Dom Solanke does step up against Big Six teams. There has been that stat banded around about his goal and his assist contributions against Big Six teams. So he does step up in these sort of games. It's against the smaller teams where they sit low block and they pack that box is where he sort of has that trouble. And for me, that does come down to the service provided to him. But it is going to be interesting to see how he reacts now that his position is under threat. You know, Richarlison, when he comes back, he has to hit the ground running. And apparently, from what Johnny assures me, you know, he's chomping at the bit to get back. He understands the pressure around him, and he understands he has to make an immediate impact. And one thing I'll give Richarlison, you know, he didn't get great service-sider up front, but he did dig out a lot of opportunities in the box for himself because of that dogged nature. And maybe that is something Dom Solanke could learn. But nonetheless, it's good to have two strikers back, chomping at the bit, looking to compete with each other. But guys, that's my team selection that I think Postecoglou will go with for the North London derby. Please give me yours in the comment section below. Your reasons for selecting, anything you agree or disagree with, and your score prediction, and also how you're feeling ahead of this North London derby. I will see you back here at 5 p.m. for the pre-match build-up for this big game. Guys, get the beers in the fridge, get the glasses in the fridge, make sure they're nice and cold, get the bunting out, get the Spurs colours out, get the hats out, and let's back the boys. Hopefully we can come out with a victory. As always, come on you Spurs, in the big hands we trust, we never stop.